No,
You guys haven't done one. Where's the next Patreon party?
What are you guys talking about?
I don't know.
What is the day after I left?
We're gonna
Vegas?
sign up. Keep reaching for the stars.
I said, I got this tour coming up, 2 months, whatever, you want to do it? Tour in the Midwest. You know, and he had done it before as a college tour with Blue Jupiter. He's like, oh yeah, that sounds fun, that was a really good time. He didn't realize that this is a very different sort of tour than a college run.
Right.
This is all geriatric tour.
And at the time, Tim was working in California with a really sweet gig, just writing songs.
Yeah, the songwriting.
And it was like, you know, a full-time job, full-time salary for the year, and he gets to live in Orange County. So he's like, this is amazing. Thankfully, it was spring tour, so the weather wasn't too terrible. It was bearable. And you said you got him to come up for this tour. And I remember then the first day that he came in, Rob picked him up at the airport.
You picked him up.
Oh, you picked him up at the airport? Oh, okay. Did you drop him off at Rob's place then?
No, I drove him straight to Mankato.
Oh, okay. All right. I got that wrong then. I just
And
heard
there
the
was
story.
flooding.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, we can't take this road because it's flooding. So I just tried to take some other route, and it took us 3 hours to get to Mankato. And he told me later, he's like, you're driving me through the most remote farm places. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? So anyway.
Yeah, and we had a great run with Tim.
We had a practice show that night at Jane Carney's house.
Yeah.
And it was just an intimate show, just like get to know him. And he had literally just come that day or something.
Yeah.
And he hit it off right away. His humor was like, you know, instantly worked. On point.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we got someone who can entertain here. This is gonna be good.
So this is now 2009.
Yeah.
We've finished that, and then we decide that we need to do another album,
Christmas album.
and so that we do in the spring. We do the Blue Christmas album,
Yeah.
and we like that. I mean, it turns out pretty good.
Right.
This is nice. Darren mixes these.
Volume 1.
Volume
Because we
1,
knew there was going to be a volume 2.
right? And then that summer, I think, a little hazy in the timeline. I kind of feel like there were some more songs we could have done, and we weren't doing anything else. And I said, let's just do another CD the same year.
Yeah.
And so we just did a second one, and we had 2 albums, Christmas albums out that year then.
Was it the same year?
Yep, same year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think we were planning to wait a year, but we just were like, let's just.
We have nothing else to do, let's just do them, yeah.
Yeah.
And we put them both out. And that was the beginning of setting up our Christmas tour.
Yeah.
10.
And I think it started too, we needed more material for the Christmas tour.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, 2010.
Yep.
Because what was the next thing after that? Oh yeah, Allied had already committed to us because we did so well in the fall tour that they already just went out and
Wanted to book us for the
booked us
Christmas
for
tour.
our Christmas run. So they started booking shows for our Christmas run. Yeah.
2010, I remember that.
Yeah.
And we upped the game, we decided to bring Johnny F on to do lights with us.
Well,
And sound.
we started getting paid. Yeah, we got a much better deal with Allied. We started charging more discounts.
And Christmas.
So, yeah, and Christmas. Yeah.
And we needed more material, so we did the first album to help pitch the show, I don't know. And then we needed more material, so we just did a second album.
Yeah.
And that was the show. And I remember we tried to put together, it was tough to put together a completely brand new show.
Right.
A few bits we stole, but it was that much material to make happen. We were down to the wire in rehearsal and just rolling our brains out trying to make it work.
Tim couldn't join us for that first one.
No, he did. Because the spring tour was so successful, successful in the way that everybody had a good time,
Right.
that at the end of that tour, and we were already talking about how we got this Christmas tour, he asked if we could be considered for doing the Christmas tour.
Yeah, but Elliot did the CDs.
Yeah, weird dynamic. So Tim sang lead on one of the Christmas songs.
Right.
And then Elliot recorded the bass for the Christmas.
So was it the second Christmas tour that Tim wasn't in?
Yes. Gotcha. So the first tour, and this is where Tim was like, I've made a huge mistake. Because the first show we had was in Dickinson, North Dakota.
It's our most successful one of them. No, that was, the Allied tour was different.
This is the LA tour still.
Okay.
So it was a great show, don't get me wrong, but it was, of course, dead of winter, like it was just horrible blizzard. And he we couldn't get into the hotel with the van and trailer.
Yeah.
So he was like trying to help push it and he's like slipping on his boots, falling right into the snow, and he's just like, what have I done?
Why
am I here? Yeah. He started doing limericks and show that was really fun.
Yeah. So now we're doing showcases for county fairs,
Yeah,
for college things.
showcases. We hadn't done a lot of gigs yet.
But that was when that was starting to happen.
Right.
So we're not full time, but it's getting close.
Yeah.
It's super hit or miss on it.
We still had our cruise connection, so we were still doing
And we're doing cruise ships.
That's when I think we started putting a lot of those to fill in the gaps.
So it was quite a lot of
Yeah.
ships.
Oh yeah.
Quite a lot.
15 a year or something.
Yeah.
1 month.
Yeah, it was like that, which was awesome.
And it grew to the point where, I mean, were we each getting our own room, or were
No, we had
rotate?
4 rooms. We had the 1 balcony suite and 3 other rooms.
Right.
And we become one of Road Caribbean's top acts.
Right, so we eventually just started rotating who would get the open room, and then we could bring a girlfriend,
Yes.
or, or our wife. But, I mean, that was a ton of fun, getting paid. And I remember Tim because they would pay us right when we were leaving the ship, right? They'd be like, here's your money. And he would have to pay them when we were getting off the ship, because
I spent so much at the bar.
we spent so much at the bar.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Tim did a lot of those because Tim did the showcase. Yes, we did a showcase in Miami
Yeah.
to help
Yeah.
sell us with Royal Caribbean, and that worked. And that was a night, another story, another time. But that was a night that Rob and Tim, they were up until like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
They missed their flight.
They missed the flight.
They got to the airport.
I remember seeing them in the morning.
Hungover, yeah.
They left their room with the toilet running, just overflowing. And I'm just like, wow, these guys are so gone. They're absolutely gone.
It's funny because Tim doesn't drink at all now.
Yeah.
Well, Rob doesn't really either.
No, yeah.
Like they're both off the sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Tim did a lot of those cruise gigs with us because they're fun. They're simple, easy,
Yeah.
whatever. I remember that.
All those exotic locations.
Did we have other bases during that time? Like,
Yeah, I mean, Elliot did some with us occasionally. Eric Patnow did one with us.
Right,
Chris
that's
Foss did a
right.
couple with
Yeah.
us. All these bases
So-
over the years.
So yeah, so at this time we've had built up enough bases that stable bases that we know that are like all can kill it, all can do a good show, and we just kept rotating. Just rotating
Because
bases.
nobody was willing to commit to it full time. So it was
Right.
just all these
we weren't able to do a full time all year round at that point.
And there was nobody local that could do their own thing as well. It was
Right.
we were always bringing people around the country. Of course, we had fantastic bases, but it was tough.
So I want to jump back to the Christmas tour. We had a great Christmas tour through Allied.
Yeah.
The next year we did
We did our own. We
We
built
did our own. We didn't do 2 years of Allied Christmas tour. So the second year,
Something with that.
we're like, we're going to do our own, and we're going to contact these theaters, and it didn't go great.
The very first show, again in Dickinson, North Dakota,
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Fantastic.
That saved the whole run.
Right.
Because every other show after that was terrible.
Well,
Yeah.
it was brilliant.
We brought in a guy who now lives in Australia. His name was Matt.
That was the next, 2011.
2011. Okay.
Yep, so 2011.
But I have to share my most favorite part of the Christmas tour. In fact, it might be my favorite memory of all of Home Free Forever.
Wow. Oh, this is the one with that.
That's another story.
I thought it was the deer story. Okay.
Oh, no. No. That was frustrating. This one was
It's a positive memory.
This is a positive memory. I don't know that I have laughed so hard in my entire life as I did at this one show.
No!
This is about me. Oh yeah, I love this story. This is in Nebraska.
We couldn't even keep singing.
Where's
And
Rob?
I truly don't think I've ever laughed so hard since or before. It was
fell out of his chair as we were recounting it that night in the van.
So we had a snow machine.
What was it?
That made-
Nebraska?
Maybe, yeah, something like that.
This isn't the get off the stage story?
I thought you were talking about that.
That's the one I'm
Not that
talking
one.
about.
No,
Oh, okay.
So, we'll talk about that one. Christmas tour, so we had this snow machine that we would hoist up to the rafters at every place we went, right? And, but we learned pretty early on that it was just too heavy. So Johnny F. fashioned this piece of cardboard that would stick out of it a little bit so that, it
Control the flow.
It would control the flow a little bit. What ended up happening at this particular performance is that it started snowing, and this was during I'll Be Home for Christmas, and it was like a showstopper. I mean, we're singing I'll Be Home for Christmas. It was very moving, very sentimental, and then all of a sudden it starts snowing, and this is like these people's theater. They've been to dozens of shows. They've never seen it snow on their stage before. So it was a really cool thing we had. But it was basically like a bubble machine, right? It had like soap, and it just made these really fine bubbles, basically, that looked like snow. And we're singing, and all of a sudden it stops snowing. We're like, shoot, I bet we forgot to fill it all the way back up or something.
Keep singing.
It just stopped snowing. We're like, whatever, so we just keep singing. What was happening above our heads was it had just gotten a little bit congealed on this piece of cardboard, and so it was hitting each other, and it just kept building this blob of foam until it finally let loose and floated. It's like this big, and it floats down the stage and lands right on Chris's hat. We totally lose it. Chris is in front of us, so he's like, why are they not singing? And then the audience started laughing. I mean, it just ruined the whole song because the audience is dying. Because as Chris is singing and moving his head and feeling it, he's got this wobbly thing on his head, and it was the most fun thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Yeah.
Nice.
The heckler was maybe.
I'll come back. I'll say it with Rob and come
Yeah,
stage.
Heckler is that one his best. I mean, to this day, I laugh. We tell that story.
Oh, do you really?
It's so good. So funny. Just it's so absurd and just so he committed so much to it. It is unbelievable.
All right, let's finish this thing out. So, and then I want to know your other favorite moments in Home Free. So, the timeline here, we're now at
2011, and we've done this Christmas tour with the new bass we had for a while, Matthew Toohey.
Yeah.
And nice guy, and he was getting the job done. But we still weren't sure if this was the right fit for us long term. So we were kind of on the fence what we wanted to do. And then come January of 2012, Tim gives me a call. He says, hey,
January 2012? You sure it's 2012? Okay.
and he says, hey, I think I want to do acapella singing again. You guys want me? Yes. Yes, we do. So I had to have this awful phone call with Matthew Toohey and tell him, you've been replaced, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He was, yeah. And he's done very well for himself in Australia now. He works for
Oh, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
married. He's
Yeah.
And then Tim signed up. We had to work it out because he didn't want to move to Minnesota. He still wanted to be in Texas, so we had to keep flying him. But it was worth it to have that caliber of bass.
Yeah.
And it was direct to Dallas. We moved to Dallas then at that time. Because he was done with working for this other dude in California. So
At this point now, Home Free is full time.
yeah,
Right.
Now we have established ourselves with another agent who put us in the county fairs and those showcases that it hit. So we had county fairs, we had corporate stuff through him too.
Yeah, so we had enough stuff, full time. Everyone had contracts and we had salaries, and it was working. Like this is great. The show had gotten pretty good. It was solid, entertaining. Always working on trying new things. But remember, it was tough that year, 2012, because it felt like half the shows we were doing you couldn't do because you're working with your company.
Theater. I came back and did a little theater again, and then that was about the time that my dad was diagnosed with cancer. So I was like, how do I balance this? I need to be partly working with, and it was it an allied tour in Pierre, South Dakota that I was like, I got
an allied, but it could have been.
Yeah, so we were in Pierre, South Dakota. I was like, I gotta get home. I gotta fly home and help my dad. So I took an airplane this big back to Minnesota. But it was just kind of for me at that point, the clock started ticking. Like I was like, I can't keep doing this. And then got married and had a kid, and it was like, my dad's sick, and I just, I've got a kid now, and I remember it was like 2 weeks after my son was born, we left on another tour, and I didn't see him for 2.5 months. And then, do you know what that's like? And then was home for a little bit, and then we went on a Christmas tour, and it was just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And so I was working at my dad's companies, but we were still doing quite a bit together. We should maybe mention we auditioned for the Sing-Off a few times.
Yeah.
Season 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So it was that Christmas tour of 2012. Yep. Yeah.
So before that, there was I remember a run in October of that year. We that summer had met a guy in a cruise ship by the name of Austin Brown.
Yeah, I was on the ship.
You were on the ship?
Yeah.
And he was an acapella nut. I remember one of our other friends in the cast said, you gotta meet this guy, he's gonna talk to you your head off about acapella. And I said, okay, well, yeah, he can sing, that's cool. And his contract ended in September or something, and I knew we had these 4 or 5 shows lined up, and you couldn't do them. I said, well, let's give Austin a try, he really wants to do this.
Yeah.
And so it was the first time we worked with Austin. And then, we did that Christmas run, and that was getting pretty tough for you. And then, so it was in January or something, you said, like, okay, this is time now. We all kind of knew, it was
It was before that Christmas tour started.
Okay.
This is gonna be my last tour. And so our final show at Hosanna, which kind of made me smirk because I guess I never really thought about it before. Our very first performance as an acapella group was at Hosanna, and my very last performance was at Hosanna, so it was kind of cool. But we had announced that was going to be my last show. So to the home crowd, we didn't really announce it for the whole tour. Nobody even cared. Like, yay! Okay, anyway. But we had announced that, and it was a great send-off. We had gigs already booked out through summer. County fairs, state fairs. I mean, we had a good chunk, but whatever. And then you guys got the call for Sing-Off.
Kind of. So we auditioned several different people to replace you as tenor. We're trying to write people to see what was the best fit for what direction we wanted to go, blah, blah, blah. And Austin was certainly high up on that list.
Yeah.
And
We actually did 4 months with Austin.
yeah, but he didn't do every show. I mean, John Ross did some. I feel like it was the one that we talked about.
At Scene.
Yeah, him and French shows.
And which is a story I got to tell.
There was a couple where I came back in a pinch because of the last one, but it was like one-off things. I was not. Yeah.
And then in April-ish, they announced Sing-Off Season 4 auditions, and we talked quite a bit about we want to do this. No, I think Austin's the one that first suggested maybe we should try it as a country group, and the rest of the group didn't want to do that at all. I didn't care. I'm like, I just want to be on the show, so I'll do whatever.
Yeah. Wow. So then you called me and said, "Guess what? We're on the Sing-Off." And I thought you were calling me to invite me back to the group.
And Austin's doing so much better than you. This is great. He's perfect.
I mean, I think it was not real, but maybe partly out of guilt. You did say, how are you feeling? And do you maybe we could work it out? And I was like, no. I don't think it could have actually worked out, but it was nice of you to say. But then, after I said no, you said, okay, good, because we have all of these gigs.
Yes.
We have all of these county fairs and state fair and all this stuff that we already have booked, and we can't do them because we'll be in LA recording. So guess who's back? Now leading Home Free 2.0,
Yep.
the fake Home Free.
So we had 25 shows or something all booked all summer, and we were going to miss them, and our agent was not happy. He's like, don't do this, do sing off next year or something. I'm like, there might not be a next year.
Yeah.
We have to do this.
Yeah, it was very frustrating that our agent had no faith.
Yeah.
Because he just knew right away that he could possibly lose us through us doing the show.
Yeah.
And his experience with other acts that he's had that has done these competition shows is that it doesn't really go that well. Like you get a bump and then it kind of is like,
We're back to where we were.
yeah, it's like more pain and trouble than it's worth. But, well, obviously that didn't.
Yeah, we didn't want to. We didn't want to break all our contracts.
Right.
We didn't exactly expect to win the TV show. We had to work after this.
Right.
So we told them, we've been using so many subs for so long with bass and replacing Matt and even Adam occasionally that they all know our show. We can put together a group with them. They'll do our show as long as we're out in LA, and as soon as as soon as we get kicked off the show, we'll come out, we'll resume, and it'll be fine. No one will ever notice. And and that's what happened. And you did a bunch of them.
I did.
And Jeff Kreider did
almost all of them. Yeah. My favorite part though was how many people would be like looking at the poster.
Yeah.
And then looking at and then afterwards would go, how come? And they would walk right up to me and be like, how come that's none of you? And I was like, that literally is me. That's me.
Yeah.
No.
Or Elliot's in the group and like, which one? There's no black guy in the picture.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, most people don't know. There's like whatever.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
See, I've always been curious to know what stories and fun times happened during that time when you guys were doing Home Free 2.0.
Yeah.
Like Jeff, Elliot, you, and who's
Bastine
and Bastine
and Paul Donnelly were the core of it. There was some
That's
subs
right.
in that.
I didn't really share a lot with you guys, but the best analogy I can give you is, what if 2003 Home Free was suddenly thrown into a bunch of county fairs and state fairs? Because do you remember way back in the day when we would have to stop a song? That happened a couple times, and I've never been, and I am so past this. I'm above this now. So I mean, 13 years, I can remember when we first got our Shure microphones, I was so excited that I put on the Rockapella DVD and started practicing mic technique based on what they were doing. It was just all these years of putting together websites and trying to put together promo material and trying to do
you did all the website stuff, all the advertising.
And then Austin joins the group a couple months later. You're on a national TV show. A couple months after that, you're a global phenomenon. And he's like, man, this is easy putting together.
Yeah, I remember you said that.
I'm glad all my hard work paid off for you, buddy.
Look at the camera. So that's kind of a summary, a little bit of a sampling, I should say, of the stories and history of the last first 13 years of Home Free.
So many stories that we could.
Oh yeah,
and so much struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well, but a lot of moments where we didn't think it was.
Yeah, there's. I'm sorry, I got so many stories, but another one I love is when we were on a cruise ship, the first cruise gig we did, and at the beginning of the week, there's always like a, hey, this is what's on the ship kind of show for everybody to see. And acts come out and do 5-10 minutes. And we are part of that. So we usually have our microphones go up, we sing a couple songs, and that's it. But the act of forest this 1 week.
New cruise director came on.
New cruise director came on.
Changed it
up. New production, stage manager came on. That's what it was.
No, it was cruise director, the Becky girl. She'd come on and try something different.
Well, it was both.
Sure,
It was also a new stage manager.
Yeah.
They thought the cruise director staff thought it was a good idea if they run out the back of the theater at the end of their thing that they do
Right.
with the microphones.
But did they also normally end that show?
They use the end
The
of the
guest
show.
entertainer used to be more in the middle, and so they thought, let's move home free to the end to close
We
it.
weren't guest
Yeah.
entertainer, we were the.
Entertainment, but yeah, they moved it around, so that's what the production, the activity staff did. They ran out the back of the theater.
You want
And
to
so
see,
now,
you want to see a white Bills moment.
and now, home free. We're like,
we're all backside stage going, she's one at a time.
what do we do?
Where's the mic? We ran off with the mics, and the stage manager's losing her mind. She's like, what the f- are they doing? Put her bleep in there. And she she was just like, didn't know what to do.
So eventually we walked out
So,
there.
Jeff runs out there, you guys follow, I'm like, I'm not going out there.
That makes it look even better when
I'm saying right
part of the
here.
group runs out.
I don't even know what he said. He's just like fumbling over words in front of an audience, expecting wondering, what the hell is this? What is going on?
Oh my
Eventually, they finally get backstage, side stage, and I'm just grabbing mics and just stuffing them in my pocket, trying to like keep them from falling out of my pocket as I walk on stage and like didn't hand the mics. And I was mortified.
Oh, we didn't talk about the live CD.
Yeah.
So there's one in the
you
CD.
can cut-
Oh,
cut
yeah.
that back.
So it's now 2012. So Tim had joined us in January, and then later that spring was the Bemidji High School annual fundraiser for their show choir. So
Yeah.
they have a top-level show choir that competes at nationals. And it was a big deal. And we had done it the year before. And it was so much fun and successful. And we thought, let's make a new live CD with Tim and Bemidji
and
over 2 nights. And we had Derry come up and
And
record
actually
it.
record it live, yeah.
Yeah.
And it turned out fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a solid product.
There it is.
And this is the last, last pre-sing off CD that Humphrey had done.
At this time, we also did the show, that competition, what is it called, Harmony Sweepstakes. That is
Oh,
like
yeah.
a precursor to the sing half show itself.
We won that
We
regional.
won that, in Chicago. So we had done that 3 times. I think the first time we thought we did really well, but it was just like nothing.
Yeah.
Second time we came in 2nd place, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd time we did it, won it in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah. Chris Foss was the bass for us the second time. The second one we did in Denver. That's what it was. Who was it Chris Foss in the 3rd in Chicago? I think it was.
Tim
Yeah.
to the national.
Right. And Tim did the nationals with us. Did he also do the whole scene thing?
No, that was Elliot. Elliot did the whole
Elliot did the whole scene.
That was
so fun. Just be
The winner hosts the
Yeah.
next year's competition.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun.
Because there's no pressure,
No.
you get to perform a bit, and then you just get to introduce and come up with funny.
Yeah. I should share though too, because my wife will appreciate it. I'd started seeing this girl, right? And we were dating, and I invited her to come watch us at the Harmony Sweepstakes in Chicago. So I pulled her up on stage and proposed to her during that.
Send me that footage
I
again.
remember that.
I should, yeah.
I remember that now. Man.
And she remembers this better than I do, but she remembers that I proposed and it was this thing, and then we walked off stage together and we're kissing, we're making out backstage. And then I'm like, I gotta go back out there. And I just ran back out so that we could continue on with the show. And she's like, and she's just sitting backstage, and then all these other groups are coming out saying like, congratulations, and she's like, thanks. What did I do? So she was just backstage by herself for a while. So that was fun. That was cute.
Good. I think.
Okay. Okay. The answer's right behind you.
All right, so this was awesome, guys. There's
Yeah.
just, like so many stories of the history here. I hope this is informational and educational for some people who are interested in home free and also starting your own musical acts.
Yeah.
And hacking your way through it like we did.
I mean, it's like we would say at all the high schools we went to. They'd be like, "How did you guys get to be so famous?" And we would tell them all the time. We're like, "Okay, those like choir nerds," and we were saying this like in the choir room, right? And they'd all be like that one, like that was us. We were the choir nerds. And Chris put together a chamber choir. I mean, it's perseverance, really. It's the only thing that got us to where you are now.
You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
To that, I also say, when people talk about how lucky we are, and they say that comment, well, the way I always define luck is when opportunity meets preparedness.
Yeah.
So I always tell people that, if you want to succeed, you have to be one prepared, you have to know your craft, you have to be ready to just do it.
Yeah. And
then the opportunity will come about, and you have to seek those opportunities out.
Yeah, we always kind of said that we have to eventually get so good that they can't ignore you anymore. We felt we had a good show,
Right.
but it wasn't taking off. Like, we'll just keep getting even better at it to the point that people, we do shows and they say, how are you still here just in Minnesota? Like, you guys are incredible.
Yeah.
You should be national, absolutely. And then we had the opportunity and we were
I can't even count how many times you specifically would say, well, if you know someone,
You got that contact.
we agree, so if you know anybody that you could, but, really, going back to every time we thought that door was closing, it was really just pushing us in the direction that we needed to go in order to be what it is today.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's great for me and maybe for you too, like going to see home free shows now and everybody in the audience is always like, oh my gosh, man, I'm so sad that you're not in this anymore. And I'm like, how you're sad when your kid grows up and they go off and they start creating their own life? It's like sad, like they're not in your house anymore. But you're super proud of them.
Yeah.
And you'd love to see them grow up and keep doing great things. And it's home free's like my kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, I get that a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found it and created this brainchild and exploited what it is.
Yeah.
I get like messing people. I'm so thankful. I'm so glad you did this. This has changed my life.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and keep watching more things.
See you next time.
Get out there and dance.